evening, okay. Good evening, welcome to Progressive Soup. My name is David Stevenson. With us tonight we have Mev, Kayla, and Stephanie, two of the three of which are organ transplant recipients. Can you guess which two they are? Okay, you can't guess? Good. Mev, what brought you here?
My name is Mev McMahon. I'm 16 years old, and I have had my transplanted liver for 16 years now. When I was born, I had a disease called biliary atresia, which is basically where the bile ducts in the liver are obliterated. So I had liver failure, and I needed a new liver. And thankfully, my mom was willing to donate part of her liver to me, and I've had it for 16 years with no rejection.
That's incredible. And you look pretty healthy?
Yes. I haven't been in the hospital for a while, so knock on wood.
Okay, Kayla. Now we're narrowing it down, so we've got two left, and one of them is an organ donor recipient. Which one is it? Let's find out. Kayla, what brought you here?
Well, I've had my heart transplant. I have a heart transplant. I've had my heart transplant for 11 and a half years. I received it in June of 1999, and it was after a young man had passed away. He was a Marine, and his name was Jason Wilcox, and this is his picture that I carry with me all the time.
And through the gift of his making, not that it wasn't an intentional sacrifice, obviously, but he was in an accident, as I understand, and
well, he was walking home from a party with his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. He was 18, and they got hit from behind by a drunk driver, and she actually had thought she hit a deer and tried to keep on going, and people had to flag her down to stop her. And he was killed almost instantly. He had head trauma, and his girlfriend was actually dragged to her death. So it was a pretty bad scene. But his family, his mother in particular, made the decision to donate his organs, and that in turn saved my life.
So his mom, on his behalf, made that incredible gift to you.
Yes.
Which allows you to be here today, and as I understand, you're 24 now, and you are in need of another transplant.
Well, I'm 25.
25, okay. You're in need of another transplant sometime in the near future.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're here to talk about the wonderful gift that, it's the giving season. It's Christmas time. It's the time of year when we think about giving. And if I could just suggest that instead of thinking about giving gifts to friends and neighbors and family, if we can make that gracious gift of an organ to be a donor, to have your organ ready for someone who could use it when the time comes, that's well, I'm going to let Stephanie take over, because Stephanie's going to give us the overarching view of what we're here for.
Well, I'm one of those mothers. I'm Kayla Troley's mother, mm-hmm. and acting like a mother wants to protect her child, and she needs a heart. She was diagnosed with transplant coronary artery disease. Mm-hmm. So she's had this heart 11 and a half years, but it's, as they say, it's at the end of its run. And that we got a good run. Most of the teenagers only last about 6 years with their hearts.
Well, it's almost like the young man that provided the heart through his tragedy. It's almost like he's lived on for another 11 years.
Yes, he has.
Through you.
And we've actually met this family. They're wonderful people, very giving. She had 4 sons. This was her number 3 son, right?
Mm-hmm. And her 4th was my age. He's exactly my age, her 4th son.
And when she donated the heart, or she donated all his organs, she said she felt this lifting, that she had done something really well. They actually gave her a list of the organs and the age of the person who received them. Yeah. I was amazed that she got this list. And she looked and she saw female, 14, heart. And she said, I saw that and I knew I wanted to meet that young person. Because she had a son exactly that age. And we put a letter through the channels. She got it, and then she sent us a letter back a year or two later. It took a while for her to get that letter. It was held in our file for a long time.
Yeah.
And her heartfelt letter back was one of the most beautiful things we ever read. And we actually met this family. And so donation is a really good thing. Kayla is now listed. We're working with Columbia Hospital, New York Presbyterian, New York City.
Yes.
There's 207 adults on the list. She's way at the bottom. Unfortunately, you have to get very, very sick before you're offered a heart.
So it's on an as-needed basis?
Well,
Well,
there's different types. There's 1A, 1B, and 2, and I'm listed as a 2 because I'm stable and I'm walking around and I'm able to function and pretty much live my life fairly normally with a decreased function in my heart. When you get to a 1B, you're kind of like you're not as mobile and you're pretty much in a hospital bedridden. And then when you're at a 1A, it's pretty much
then you're in imminent danger.
On life support.
You're on life support, and
a lot of IV
you're pretty
drips.
much near the end, and it's your very last chance.
The medical technology is way ahead of the actual number of organ donors. So there's 104,000 people waiting right now in the United States for organs. Most of them are waiting for kidneys. It's about 86,000.
86,000 are waiting for kidneys.
And smaller numbers are waiting for the other organs. We are going to double list Kayla because it increases her chances. They have different regions around the country. And she's listed with Columbia, which is region number 9. And like I said, she's 207th on the, well, she's low on the list.
Yeah.
There are 207 people waiting.
She's
the
down
wait
closer
is actually
to the bottom than to the
wait
top.
is actually a year to year and a half.
Yeah.
And we're
But
like,
New
we
York
don't want to wait that
New York
long.
Presbyterian is the largest center for transplants in the country.
And they're number 5 as far as success rates, which is really, really good. We heard that Cleveland Hospital is number 1. We're going to go to Hartford Hospital tomorrow for a full-day meeting with them. It's actually a different geographical region, which includes Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. And if she gets listed over there, there's only 17 people waiting on that list.
Okay.
And 181 in the entire region are waiting for hearts in that region. Over in New York, there's 207 on the list with 322 people waiting for hearts. So you try and list in more than one area to increase your chances because organ donation
Because
is down.
Hartford is a smaller hospital.
Yeah,
they
so
only
they
have
probably do fewer of them.
They do fewer transplant surgeries. They only have 3 transplant cardiologists, whereas Columbia has a good handful.
I think they have 11 or 13.
They have a good amount.
2 of the doctors at Hartford are actually Columbia trained. Columbia trains a tremendous number of transplant cardiologists, and they go all throughout the country to other hospitals, bringing all the really good knowledge to help save patients.
Do you want to talk more about the background information and things of that nature, or do you want to maybe spend a few moments telling people about how to become a donor? Because that's really the point of the show, is to encourage people to make that gift, which is far superior than any gift they'll ever give to anybody else.
Well,
How do people become donors?
the number one question that I get when I tell people to think about becoming a donor is people worry that they will be like if they're in a life-threatening situation where they're in a car accident and it's either save them or use their organs, people worry that they'll be killed off sooner for their organs.
That their lives will be looked on that their organs will be looked on with a little bit more favoritism than their life.
That is one of the biggest concerns
That's
that
the
I get.
biggest fear.
That seems like a natural
Big
fear
fear.
for people to have.
And
Absolutely.
it's
We live in an era,
absolutely.
we live in a world that's it's always been a world of suspicion, but certainly I guess people are going to worry about that. And I'm not sure if it makes sense to worry about something like that, Because it's something they don't have any control over anyway.
Well, one of the things is they do a lot of testing, and they're brain dead by the time they make
Yeah.
this decision
Well, there
of
is
going to the family
a
and saying,
very
"Would you
lengthy
consider
process
donation?"
Yeah.
for organ donation once somebody has passed away, and they do everything they possibly can
To save that
the
person.
person's life, because the hospital doesn't benefit at all from not having that person be living. I mean, donating the organs, they're not making any money whatsoever off that.
Right.
So, I mean, people don't quite understand that, I think. I think they think that, they make some sort of profit, or, that they're...
There's an economic inducement to the hospital.
that there's some kind of economic interest, but that's not the case. It's the very last thing, and they have to not only check and see if they're a donor through their license, but they also
Yeah.
have to go through the family. If the family does not want to donate the organs,
Yeah.
then, I mean, it's a very lengthy process, and they do everything to save your life. Usually the organs don't even stay within the same hospital. They have to go to, a transplant hospital.
What was really amazing
So-
is when she got her first heart, he was helicopter lifted to a trauma center in Buffalo. And then the surgeons from New York Presbyterian fly there, and because they're going to put the heart into her body, so they can see, if it's a good heart, and they are the ones who surgically remove the heart, and then it comes by Learjet to Teterboro Airport, and it's put in one of those little igloo coolers, and
Yeah.
by ambulance goes across the George Washington Bridge, and at the foot of the bridge is where the operating room is for the hospital. It's a phenomenal system.
Wow.
Phenomenal. And they always do it in the middle of the night so that there's no traffic problems, always.
That's a smart idea.
It's just amazing, and they transplant a lot of people. A lot of people.
Well, not necessarily in the middle of the night, because it has to be within
Well,
a
it was
certain
1
time
a.m.,
frame.
generally around 1 a.m.
So they try to do
It has to be
the
within,
next-
Yeah.
well, I mean, like,
The
a heart from
is viable for 4
California
hours.
will probably stay in California.
Yeah.
It can't make it all
Like,
the way.
because there's only a certain time frame that
4 hours.
that a heart can be outside of the body.
The heart can only be viable for 4 hours, and it has to be put back into another body, otherwise it's not good.
And so the doctors that have actually taken the heart, in your case, from the person that's donating it are the same doctors that actually transplant the heart. So they're there the full process.
Yes, they are.
Wow. Well, that makes sense. It makes sense, and I'm sure it's a
Because
lot of work
sometimes they'll
involved, a lot of
look.
hours involved for
Yeah.
those doctors.
They'll look and they'll say, no, this heart isn't viable, for whatever reason. They can, and they know, yeah, it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. Because if it just arrived and they looked at it, they might not. It just makes a lot of sense.
I'm going to step in. I'm going to step in for the folks watching and say that we talked about the factor of being afraid, and I tell you, I've thought about that and I've had those fears. But having said that, if I'm brain dead, I don't want to be here anyway. I don't want my body being in a vegetative state somewhere. I'd rather the rest of me be put to good use than be part of a non-functioning brain.
One person can save like 7 or 8 lives. Isn't that how it works? They only give 1 kidney.
Yeah.
They would take the 2 kidneys, 1 per person, for the recipients. It's really an amazing thing how many lives are saved.
Plus, it gets cornea transplants too, things of that nature. Eye transplants, there are 7 or 8 parts of the body then that are functional to help either keep someone else alive for a number of years, or to certainly improve their life. In the case of an eye transplant.
Well, I wanted to say that I was telling you earlier that the medical technology is so outpacing the donations. I mean, and in every town, Mev lives right up the street from us.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she's been a lifelong friend for us. And in each town,
Since
there's a whole
before I
bunch
had my
of
transplant.
yeah. In each town, there's a whole bunch of transplants. It didn't used to be like that. It's the new thing.
I guess everybody nowadays, everybody probably knows somebody that's a recipient, or knew
think
somebody
so.
who was a donor.
Yeah,
think
because
so.
my parents have told me that when I got my transplant, it was in 1995, and this was when the whole idea of transplant, especially living-related transplants,
Yeah.
was it was a new concept, and there were only just a handful of hospitals around the country that did it. I had to, my family had to go up to Omaha, Nebraska, for their transplant center there, and I mean, the technology has it's amazing what we can do now. I mean, that was only, like we said, 15, 16 years ago, and how far we've gotten is amazing, and it would be nice to be able to put that technology to use.
And there's
And
there's no doubt I'm sensing that, when you receive a longer life, or in your case, in fact, a life, since you were just 8 months old when you got your transplant, when you receive something like that, I think you really naturally would probably appreciate life a lot more than the average person, and not only take that life and make use of it, but you'll probably make more use of it than the average person. You probably see more reason to live maybe than the average person who, maybe takes life more for granted. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding? Every day is a blessing. Every day is a blessing. I mean, I have this really neat picture. This just goes to show you how many young people, a lot of young people's lives are saved. This gal here, 22 years with a heart.
Yeah.
She's one of the longest surviving heart transplant patients in the world.
That's great.
And she just got a kidney.
Yeah.
She's from Newtown, and she just got a kidney
Yep.
from her brother July 2nd because her kidneys failed. So she's really got 2 organs, new transplanted organs. This young man is from Mamaroneck, Josh.
Yeah.
He's had his heart for 14 years. And then here's Danbury's own, Carlos Varela. He was at the end of the rope with cystic fibrosis. And 2 years ago, he got a set of lungs, and he's doing great. In fact, we had, well, wait, I'll tell you about this young man is 15. He's from Fairfield.
Yeah.
He's actually had 2 different heart transplants, one when he was 8 months old and
Yeah.
one at age 7. And then, of course, we have Mev right here, 16 years with her liver transplant.
Yep.
Last night, my
Go
daughter...
Tigers.
Yeah, go Tigers. Last night, my daughter, here, got to get that in there. My daughter had a
Yeah.
transplant potluck supper.
Yeah.
She came up with this idea, and we decorated our house for Christmas and all this kind of stuff. And these people showed up. They couldn't wait to come, and it was the most amazing thing. They're all so courageous and young. They're all what ages 15 on up to, Carlos is how old?
26.
26, 15 to 26. And we had a cake, a red velvet cake, and I put these weird candles on, and I told Carlos, Carlos, you've been voted to blow it out because you have new lungs.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, Carlos was like, no. And we brought the cake over, and it was such a beautiful thing. He blew out one candle. He goes, everybody should blow it out.
Yeah.
And spontaneously, we moved the cake around, and I had to keep relighting the candles. There were only 3 candles on the cake. And
you
somebody
had to
blew
get a
out
couple,
2.
3 times,
Somebody blew out 2. We were like, no. And that person said, no, I have 2 organs. I can blow out 2 candles. So guess
that's
what?
wild.
This is the first annual transplant supper. We're going to do it every year. And we're hoping our list will grow because we have a bunch of transplanted youngsters that...
I have 3 friends that couldn't make it, but they also had heart transplants.
Wow.
She has one friend who's had 3 heart transplants.
And you mentioned that you've had yours for 11 years, but that's kind of on the long end. But one of the somebody here had she had the
22 years.
22 years, and that's extremely long.
Extremely long.
That's unbelievable.
It's actually
Unbelievable.
it's actually a rarity that transplants last as long as hers has.
Yeah, that's
She's had
It's all individual.
She's had it since she was 3 years old.
It's all individual. You don't know how it's going to come out.
In July, it'll be 23
She
years.
actually
22
she actually
years
got the
extra
heart.
life. where
Yeah,
that life
absolutely.
wouldn't have been there otherwise.
She was so weak, and she was in the hospital, and her mother said within days after the transplant, she was bicycling around the hall on a little tricycle, and because she had gotten strength from this
Yeah.
new heart. And she actually got the heart of a 2.5-year-old little boy. And it obviously was an amazing match.
Yeah.
The reason the hearts don't last longer, forever, I always thought, oh, they'll last forever, is because of all the medicines in the body. It's hard on the heart, the
Yeah.
transplanted heart. And the body still, no matter how many medicines you've had, still tries different methods of rejecting that organ.
Because the organ is
it's
even
a
if it's a
foreign
perfect
body.
match, it's a foreign body.
It's a foreign body.
It's an intruder, and our bodies know to
Still.
try to
Yeah.
kick out intruders of any kind.
And every time we get sick, there's always that possibility for rejection. Like, it's always there. I mean, they're trying to find out a way. If there are certain people that the liver unit at Columbia is doing this.
Yeah.
I've been transferred there since Omaha, Nebraska is a little far away for us to be going once a year. I'm
Yeah.
at Columbia now, and they're actually trying to figure out if there
That's
are
the wrong
profiles
prompt.
for kids, if they can take them off of the immunosuppressant, because we
Yeah.
all have to be on immunosuppressant so our bodies don't attack those foreign bodies that are our transplanted organs. And so they're trying to figure out if there's a way to get people off that medication, which I think is pretty cool, because most transplant kids, I think all transplant kids have to be on immunosuppressant for as long for life, and although it keeps the body from rejecting the organ, there's more likely that you're going to get sick. I remember when I was younger, I was in and out of the hospital because I got sick all the time because of the drug, and since then I'm on a lower dosage, but it would be fantastic if
Well,
they
that's
can get
good. The
them
lower
off.
dosage, I'm sure, has I'm sure it's a cumulative effect over a period of time for any medication.
Because like any medication out there, there's always side effects.
Yeah.
And to reduce those side effects is always a good thing.
So you're always living a little bit in just a little bit of fear in the back of your mind about getting sick and things of that nature.
Like when
How do you balance that against the obvious exuberance that, hey, I'm here.
I
woke up
life.
this morning. I'm alive.
I have
this
life,
is great.
yeah.
How do you balance that?
It's difficult.
Most of the time, I don't think about getting sick, really. I mean, when the swine flu came out, everyone was freaking out, and they actually wanted to take me out of school, but we came up with a compromise so I could stay in school because I had 3 months left. But because there's always, whenever something else comes up, they're always like worried that something's going to happen. But for the most part, I'm pretty, like, there's not much concern, which is nice.
What was the compromise they came up with?
It was basically they wanted to keep a close eye on me to see if I got sick, and we had the Tamiflu at home, which was the medication against the swine flu, just in case. But they wanted to keep a close eye on me. So it was better than being taken out of school, and I didn't get the swine flu, which was nice. And as soon as the vaccination came out, they put me on it.
okay.
So.
Excellent. So the balance is obviously in favor of the positive, the positive feelings about being here.
Yeah,
I mean, I still have to go for checkups once a year, and they still keep a very close eye on me. But like, it's not there's no huge threat, so I can live my life normally.
Genetically, she got a really, really good match with her mother. It makes a huge difference.
So now we know how the two of you got here. We know how the two of us got here.
Well, that's actually
we drove in. But
that's actually another thing is you don't it doesn't have to be from somebody who's passed away. It can be from a living donor. Like she got part of her liver from her mother, and then my friend, she's one of my best friends, Janelle. She got her kidney from her brother, and her brother is up and doing fine. Actually, the day of the surgery, like a couple hours later,
He couldn't
was
wait
up
to get out of the
walking.
hospital.
Within days, he bounced back so fast. It
They
was
released him pretty quickly.
kind of ridiculous how fast he recovered.
What does the future hold for the two of you? What does the future hold for you? What are your plans? What are your dreams, your aspirations? You have your life. You've been given this great gift. You're here. Where are you going with it?
Well, I'm a junior in high school right now, and so I'm thinking about college and everything. So I'm looking to go into communications, specifically photojournalism, because I've always been into photography, and I would love to travel the world and just show people what the world's all about and hopefully eliminate some ignorance out there.
Always a good thing. Excellent. And there's enough of it out there to deal with, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's good to have people doing that, sharing some of their life with other people. And what are your plans?
Well, at this current moment, my life depends on whether or not I get a second heart transplant.
So there's a little bit of on hold for you.
Yeah, I would really, if I'm able to get a second transplant, I would really like to finish up my bachelor's degree in college. I've taken years and years worth of medical leaves for different reasons over the years, for different, gastrointestinal problems, transplant problems, all different kinds of things, but I'm still trying to get my bachelor's because I really believe that education is important, and I want a bachelor's in consumer behavior, and I want to do something within sales and marketing, and maybe someday, hopefully get married and have a family.
Excellent.
She's also a really good salesperson. She loves sales, and she gives back a lot. She's always raising money for different causes.
Okay, sell the audience. Tell the audience what we're going to do the cost benefit analysis now. Sell the audience, sell everybody that's watching us on the benefits of donating. 1 minute. You've got 1 minute. Do your sales pitch.
Oh, I know it.
Okay, you can help Mom can help out.
Yeah, we'll have her go first.
If somebody passes away because they have been in a trauma, really there's 2 people passing away. More, there's 7 or 8 or 9 people passing away because those organs give these people extra life,
So
lots of years.
You can help a lot of people.
Lots of years, and you're helping their families. You're helping not only just them but their families, and they are so grateful to have additional life.
I guess if you're helping 7 people to the tune of 10 years per person, you've created a whole nother lifespan
Yes, you have.
by your gifts.
The motor vehicle department is where you can sign up for donations.
And with that, we're going to say goodbye. It's been Progressive Sue. I'll let everybody introduce themselves again, and then we'll say goodnight. Go ahead. Bev?
I'm Bev McMahon.
I'm Kayla.
I'm Stephanie Trolley, mother of Kayla. Please be an organ donor.
Thank you, everyone, and good evening. Enjoy your evening, and we'll be back next week. They hear less and less of our conversations, so we really don't have to converse too much more. Oh, we could.
I think
We
you'll
could,
we're talking?
like on the TV shows, they kind of